Hello guys, it's Maddie Simlish and welcome to another video where today I am building a Mediterranean and Bohemian style home with the newly released Courtyard Oasis kit. The last video I did when I just got the kit, I made like a kind of Moroccan style home. I did mention that it's not really like my style per se. I mean, I absolutely love it, but I don't know that much about it. But I built a kind of small home and I wanted to make it as authentic as I possibly could with the knowledge that I have and the items in the game. But this particular build, I kind of wanted to use the like Moroccan Mediterranean theme more as inspiration and to build a home that's kind of bohemian in style, which if you know my channel, that is my favorite style to build in. I do it all the time. So I thought it'd be quite a nice like combination to do. I think that those kind of styles work really well together along with the things that came in the most recent kit as well. And I'm saying Mediterranean because while the kit is directly inspired by Morocco, I know a lot of people have also said that it's quite like got a lot of Greek elements as well and just kind of like Mediterranean in general, especially with the blue and white swatches, which you can see that I am using here. So it's definitely got that kind of element to it, at least like to my knowledge. In the last build, I used like the red swatches of almost all the items that we got with the kit, like paired with lots of dark browns. So I did want to switch it up a little bit in this build. So I did go with those blue and white swatches. And I really like it. I think they're like a really nice blue colour, and it also pairs quite well with a lot of things that we already have in the game. And I guess my idea is it's kind of like someone who like really loves this style, the Mediterranean style. I imagine they're very like beachy people as well, which you will especially see in the kids' bedroom. But yeah, I thought they're heavily influenced by that style, but it's not... I'm not claiming that this is like a Greek house or a Moroccan house or anything like that. But basically my idea was, because my last build that I did, it was a small home. It felt quite spacious because I kind of had like a huge garden space. I also had like space on top of the house as well. I did want to build something a little bit bigger just so I didn't necessarily have those kind of restrictions, so I could like include a few more like different items. And this is actually my third attempt at building this. The first two, I really wasn't happy. I had a vision in my head before I started building, and even like what you see here is not the vision I had. I think it was just really like difficult to translate it into The Sims. But I kept building and I just wasn't happy, and then I bulldozed it and I tried again and I still like wasn't really happy. So what I actually ended up doing is Googling Moroccan home exterior. I picked a picture and basically used that as inspiration. So the front of the house is very similar to that picture that I found, but it was just a picture of the front of the house. So everything from the side and the back and the interior is all myself. But I think I really just needed that kind of starting point to go with, because I was a little bit lost at first, but I was super happy with the like house, especially the exterior, and that was the focus of this build. It's where most of the thought went in. Obviously I did put thought into the interior, but for me the focus was the exterior, as with my last build, because yeah, the kit is Courtyard Oasis, so a lot of the furniture is kind of built around like outside areas and things like that. So while I don't actually have a courtyard like I did, you can see I have that like huge tiled space with the fountain. The picture that I found actually had that, like it had a huge tiled, it was like just not really like a driveway, just like a huge tiled square in front of the house with a fountain in it. And as soon as I saw that, I knew it was perfect because that's what we got with the new kit. So yeah, I've got that, and I've got lots of plants, and my kind of theme for the exterior was that I wanted it to look really overgrown, but not like disused, like kind of carefully and organized overgrown. So the people who live here, they do like gardening. I do put a few planters in the front of the house. I also have a flower arranging table at the back that I put next to the pool that you can see there. So they are really into gardening, and I imagine that, you know, the sort of overgrown look is exactly what they were going for. So you will see soon at the front of the house, I add a lot of hanging plants. You'll see we got a lot with Jungle Adventure. So yeah, these ones. I put a lot of those around the exterior of the house. And then also to go with the bohemian style, I kept saying to myself throughout the build, like hanging things that hang. So lots of hanging plants, hanging like lights from the ceiling. I really wanted that kind of look. So that's kind of what I tried to do. You'll see even in the exterior, there's like a few different like balcony areas and little bump outs where I put lots of hanging plants and lights and things like that. So that's kind of where the bohemian style goes into it. And then the more like Mediterranean is in the like tiles and the colors, and also all of these like gorgeous plants. Honestly, I think I used so much Jungle Adventure on the exterior of the house, but I was really happy with how it turned out. Again, yeah, I didn't want it to look like, you know, a house that hasn't been used in years. I just wanted it to look like the kind of people who, you know, want the house to be like very like embracing nature and just letting things kind of grow on the wall, but not looking too messy, I guess. But yeah, lots of plants as well. Even like some of these plants you can see here, just that kind of overgrown, like really big plants, like overstretching plants. I really love the look, and I was actually really happy with the landscaping. I feel like my landscaping is slowly but surely getting better with each build I do, so that's really cool. Especially as I've started using the debug menu a lot more. There is some really cool plants in there. And also, I think I might have mentioned before, but if you have the Better Build By mod, it is so much easier. So when I turn it off, I have to scroll like for what feels like half an hour through the debug menu to find all the different plants, because they're not all in the same place. And I never like remember where things are, and I just find myself like scrolling for absolute ages. So with that mod, if you like click on flowers, for example, it also shows all of the debug flowers as well. So sometimes when I'm building, it feels a bit overwhelming. So if, say, for example, I'm looking for like clutter or decoration items, there's usually a lot of things to choose from because it includes debug items, but on the whole, it is so useful. So I'm just decorating the front garden here. I really like these fences that we got. I use them a lot. And I thought it was kind of nice to have that like separated garden bit. I think in the picture that I used, there wasn't a specific garden per se, like fenced off like this, but there was lots of kind of plants and trees on the exterior. So that's kind of what inspired me to create this shape. And actually the last build that I did was a kind of U-shaped house, and this isn't a U-shaped house, but with these like flower and gardening sort of sections, it kind of creates that U shape. So I was going for something similar with that big courtyard in the middle. So it's got similar elements, but luckily for me, the house is a lot bigger in this one. So like I say, I could sort of play around and have a lot more fun with it. And I really like this tile. Like I said before in my last video, I actually really like this kit. I think, you know, I want to do, while it's still kind of new and fun, like I do want to do a few different like builds in this particular style, or at least heavily inspired by this style. But I really do think that even after the novelty is kind of worn off and I start building in different styles, I will be using some of these items a lot. Yeah, I think some of the things are really cute. So yeah. One thing I also did in my last video, and I'm slowly learning to do because it's not something I'm used to, which is kind of turning the lights off as I'm building just to see what the build looks like in the dark, because I often neglect to do that. And then as you're playing The Sims, you can see how dark it gets at night time. So I'm just going around putting some of lanterns around. We've got two lights with this kit, the kind of hanging lantern and then the one that goes on the floor. And I think they're both absolutely gorgeous. And they come in some really nice swatches. Like, yeah, the colours in this kit are really nice. Largely they are kind of like red, black and blue. So I think I've kind of explored the main kind of colour themes. But yeah, I really like them. I think everything works really well together. And as I said in my last video, there's a lot of things that we already have in the game that work really well with the items that we got in this kit. So that's really good. And I think, yeah, if you're a builder, I definitely recommend this kit. I think it comes with some really nice furniture items. And it's also really great to have some more representation of different cultures and different styles within the game. So yeah, I really like it. I'm having so much fun kind of experimenting with it. And I think we are just coming up to the end of the landscaping. I decided to add some sunbeds. With the first build I did when I got this kit, because I was like building a small house, my thought was that the sim basically loves the outdoors and does everything outdoors. They sit outdoors, they eat outdoors. They were a painter and they paint outdoors, but because I had a lot more floor plan to work with in this build, I did kind of keep most of the activities inside. But yeah, I do have a little sunbed and that flower arranging table, but I do have like a whole office space upstairs, which has like a computer and a chessboard and like instruments. So there's lots of skill building in this house, and I built this for 6 Sims, so it fits quite a big household. There's kind of 2 master bedrooms. There's a main master bedroom which has an ensuite, but there's also another master bedroom that's a kind of similar size, and it's a little bit more almost mature in a way. Like the rest of the build is very colourful, but that's quite like white and a bit more like neutral in colour. So I was imagining that the Sims that live here are a couple. They're 2 teenage children and the grandparents. So the parents' also live in this one, or at least one of the parents' parents. So yeah, I imagined that they all share. So you've got the 3 generations and 6 Sims. I thought that was quite nice. And I don't usually build like that. I don't usually sort of include grandparents or like older Sims in my builds. So that was quite nice. I end up putting like knitting stuff in what would be the grandparents' bedroom. So I did want to give them some kind of activities. There's a huge kind of kitchen diner with lots of dining space. So I really wanted to keep it quite a family home. This is the kitchen diner that you can see here. The floor plan is a little bit strange on the upstairs. You can see there's quite a few like diagonals and weird angles going on, but that was like the best floor plan that I could come up with. All the rooms were quite a good size, like nothing was too big or too small. Like I managed to kind of fit everything that I wanted to in this build, so that was good. Yeah, I am really having fun just like getting out of my comfort zone a little bit, trying some different kind of styles, different kind of interior like ways of laying out the house, different kind of furniture items. I know I said I do use that kind of bohemian style quite a lot, but even this is just a little bit different, like a different kind of way of doing things. And I always say I highly recommend kind of challenging yourself if you build a lot, because it just helps to keep things really different. I do understand some people have a certain style of building and they only ever want to build in that, which is fair enough. But I do think, I don't know, it's just nice sometimes to try something a little bit different. Like if you always build small houses, like, and try building a mansion, it's really difficult, but it might be really fun as well. So this is the living room. It was a really awkward shape because it's really long, and then there's windows on 2 walls and then a door and an arch on the other 2 walls, so I didn't really know how to lay it out. I ended up going with this kind of diagonal, but right at the end, just before I took the screenshots, I actually put a diagonal wall between that big door that you can see there and the window. I deleted one of the windows, so essentially where the TV is, it stays there, but it's now pressed against the diagonal wall, and it just felt so much better there. Because yeah, it is a bit of a diagonal living room, so it made sense to have a little bit more of a diagonal shape. I ended up using the movie hangout stuff sofas. We did get some with this particular kit, and I do use the chairs and the sofa both outside, but indoors, because it was that kind of bohemian inspired by Mediterranean style, I decided to use the boho ones that we got with movie hangout stuff. And I also, again, you won't see it because I added it right at the end, but upstairs on the landing I add the other sofa that we got with movie hangout, the kind of wicker one, because the colours all worked really well. And then speaking of that pack, you can see the table here. Largely I went for like a very minimalist style. I thought it just felt a lot more kind of sleek and modern and suited this house really well. And also when I do tend to build like bigger homes, and also when I tend to focus a lot on landscaping, I just kind of prefer to do a little bit more of a minimal style in terms of interior design, because it just keeps things from getting a bit too like complicated, a bit too much. So there is like clutter and there is decoration, but not quite as much as I perhaps would usually do. And then speaking of diagonals and corners, I did another one in the kitchen. I don't really know why. I don't know if this works, but I think it was okay in the end. I kind of did these like diagonal islands. I didn't really know basically how to split out the kitchen and the dining room. So yeah, I decided to have that kind of like kitchen breakfast area, and then the main dining room as well for when all the family sit together, because as I said earlier, I imagine this is a very like family oriented house, so they all kind of have dinner together, but probably during the day they're all off like doing their own things. So yeah, again, a blue theme for the kitchen, as with most of this house. I really like, as I said, the blue that comes with this. I think it's a really nice shade. I really love the tiles as well, like the wallpaper and the flooring that we got. It's quite bold, and I think I know upstairs I used a tile, so you can see it there in that like office room. I used a bit more of like an orangey browny tan coloured tile, both on the walls and the floor, but I just decided it was way too much, so I do end up changing the floor of this office space, you will see in a minute, to a bit more of the like, I don't know what you'd call it, but the flooring that's in the hallways and the main sort of areas of the house. I didn't want it to look like too overwhelming, so but I do really like the wallpapers and the tiles, and I think in maybe perhaps smaller spaces and like kitchens and bathrooms it works really well. So yeah, as I said, this has a chess table, it's got a keyboard and a guitar, and also a computer, so I imagine there are some musical sims within this household. I just wanted to give them a lot of different activities, because honestly, that is something that sometimes I forget to do, especially when I build like smaller homes as well. I have to kind of remind myself to add some kind of like personality items to the builds. And so, I mean, of course, like if you ever like download a house and it doesn't have those, it's actually not, you know, too bad, because you can kind of personalize it to your sim. But I don't know, I think it just adds more character to the house as a whole. Like you can really imagine the kind of sims that would live here. And yeah, you'll see there's a few bathrooms. So there's 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms in this build. I use the country kitchen blue tile in all of the bathrooms, I think, because yeah, as well as going with the theme, I actually really like that tile. And this is the kids' room. They could actually be children. I was thinking teenagers, but I don't think there's anything that's specifically kids or teenagers, but I didn't put any like kids specific activities like the violin or the science table or anything. I was imagining teenagers, but I think originally I thought it was just going to be 1, but it is quite a big room, and especially as it's that kind of L shape, I decided to put 2 beds. And you'll see it kind of leads out to a little balcony area, so the kids actually get their own balcony, which is quite cool. And then there's a little sofa, and there's also an ice cream maker as well. There was just kind of like a little corner that I didn't know what to do with. And because I imagine going with the Mediterranean theme and the beachy theme, it's probably quite hot, so I thought it would be quite nice to have an ice cream maker. And you'll have seen in the kids' room as well, I did try to make it a little bit more kind of beach, ocean specific, with a lot of the like pictures and things like that. I used a Parenthood wallpaper with like this wave pattern, which kind of inspired me, because sometimes when it comes to kids, it's really nice to like think of their like interests and hobbies to inform their bedroom. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. You'll have seen the grandparents' room as well. Again, quite a like simple design, but I really liked that room actually. And I think everything's quite neutral, but I like having that like blue wallpaper as well, just to tie it to the rest of the house and have a little bit more personality. And this is the ensuite bathroom that you can see going on to the main bedroom. I think the last bedroom or room of the house. So this is where the parents would stay. Once again, quite a blue theme, but pretty simple. I do actually end up adding a vanity table and that huge mirror because there was quite a bit of space. So I just wanted like another activity that you could put in here. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're liking the kit if you've bought it. I'd love to know what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!